Welcome to Arc Photopod, the architectural photography podcast. My name is Jordan Powers. I'm an architectural photographer and video producer based in the Southeast United States. In this episode, I interview my friends Arturo and Lauren Engel, based in Southern California. Now, if you're not familiar with Art and Lauren, they are the founders of the Shifter community on Instagram, as well as a number of other things that we're going to get into in this episode. I've known Art and Lauren for several years through the internet, and I was fortunate enough to meet Lauren a couple years back at PFRE, and then I met both of them at this last PMRE back in November 2022 when Art moved to the United States from Mallorca, Spain. So in this episode, we get into all the things that they've been up to, the things that they're going to be doing with their business, and I really just wanted to pick their brains on how they operate all this stuff. So I found this conversation to be truly fascinating, which is why it lasts as long as it has if you have not yet looked at the timestamp. But I hope you thoroughly enjoy this episode. If you're not yet following them on Instagram, you can do so at arturo.and.lauren, and you can find them at shifter.com. And you can find me on Instagram at Jordan Powers without the vowels. Enjoy this episode with Arturo and Lauren. It's currently March 2023. You guys just got married back in December, right?
Mm-hmm.
Beginning of December.
You remember it so well.
You remember
well,
more than us.
Because when we were at PMRE, it was November.
Oh,
You
yeah.
guys are like, we're getting married in a couple weeks. And yeah, so there's a timeline I can follow. Plus, you guys post, and I follow you guys.
True.
Well, let's back up because there may be even some people who don't even know who you guys are. So I'm way ahead. So let's just talk briefly about who you guys are.
I'm Arturo.
I'm Lauren.
We are Arturo and Lauren.
Yeah.
I'm originally from Spain. She's from Hong Kong. We have a business together, photography and videography business. And yeah, as you said, it's been a long process. She's from Hong Kong, by the way.
So I think, he's been doing it for more than 15 years. So that's most of our work together is his work. And so my background, I studied international.
Most of the photography work is his work, right? Most of the other work is as we were talking about before.
But you see on the website is the content is his work.
Okay.
And so, I was just I studied international business, and I was doing data analytics and SEO, and I worked for Hypebeast and Disney. And when we met, I was still working for Disney, and I started doing some real estate photography on the side. But when we met, we already wanted to join forces. So that's why I handle all the marketing and branding and business, and he does all the artist stuff.
I would be a starving artist without her, to be honest.
Just giving stuff away for free or just doing it?
I'm just kidding, but she's bringing an interesting angle to the company. You know, sometimes when you're an artist, you just so cut off on the quality, you know. Mm-hmm. But she knows so much about marketing and business development, and we're doing new stuff now, and it's great.
Well, it makes you stronger. I mean, you each bring different skill sets. So, okay, really quick, I want to dig further in the back because I did a little bit of digging on you in the past. Like you've been doing this for a long time, and you started with video, didn't you? Or no, you were doing real estate.
I started real estate photography like 15 years ago.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, and I shot a bunch of real estate homes, and I got tired, and I switched to interior and architecture photography. At the same time, I switched to video. When I started doing video, it was kind of a new thing in that field.
Okay, but in Spain compared to the States, I know you haven't really done real estate photography here, but from all you know about the real estate photography world, you said you switched to architecture photography. Was it a gradual transition for you? Like, were you shooting nicer homes and then eventually you're shooting for architects and designers? Like, how did?
It was just emotionally, I wanted to do better and better, and there was a time like I was spending so much time shooting real estate, and I was say, why not, tapping into other different clients? My time is not worth in my shooting for real estate, and I'm not saying it's, my natural evolution was to do like spend more time on every house.
Yeah. were you in Mallorca the entire time? Like,
Mhm.
did you move? Okay, so was the real estate market when you're doing real estate photography? Is it similar to what people experience here with real estate photography? Like, as much as you followed, like,
What I seen here, not on the photography side, but on the real estate side, is that properties sell so quickly,
Mhm.
and they can see there in Spain if a property sits in the market for half a year and a year is normal. Uh, Compared to LA, that it just it just sells in a month or two.
Let me
So,
clarify.
yeah.
I think more what I meant was it like a real estate media
Mm.
focused back then? Were you doing like all the stuff, photography, video?
Just for when I was doing real estate, it was just photography.
Okay.
But it's the same. It's the same. People
Yeah.
offer the same services, and it just what I've seen here in real estate photography. When we went recently to Pia Marie, the photography and media show conference, what I've seen is that I can see the American business mentality in real estate photographers here. I can see more the business mentality here than in Spain.
That's a better way of putting where I was trying to go with that.
Yeah.
Like I was more curious to what the hustle, I guess, was
Yeah.
like there versus here.
There, I mean, you can see real estate photography company there that there have a few shooters, but it's more rare. It's more, I would see more. It's more common there to be a solo shooter in the real estate photography world, and here I've seen that medium to large teams, and I haven't seen it before there.
Well, I'm curious. So, from your perspective, because how long have you lived in the States?
8 years.
8 years. So, well, and I guess you probably didn't have. You were probably just right out of college when you moved here, right?
Exactly.
So you probably didn't have like the business perspective from another country, right? So do you see a difference between like American business culture versus like what your experience was before that, or because again you were coming from a completely different background. You were in college and then you were doing other stuff too.
I think the main thing here that you didn't, because I was doing photography in Hong Kong, even just small things like for some fashion brands, but I think the main thing here that I love about is the accessibility to people. To if you really want to get get in contact with someone, it's so easy to find them on social media or something. Back in Hong Kong, most people aren't even really, or it's just a personal account that if you really wanted to. Basically, what I'm trying to say is if I wanted to get somewhere, it would take me 30 years to meet the right people. Whereas here in the US, I see it more like A to B. Like the next year, if my portfolio is good, I can get to that person. But in Hong Kong, also people really, the years of experience make such a big difference. Like if you're shooting for 30 years, like he's the old master, like he's the guy, like he's so old and they hire him because he has this much.
Yeah.
Whereas in the US, like, if this person is talented, they're just going to give you whatever you want. And I really appreciate that here. In Hong Kong, I'd be like the student photographer for like 40 years until I suddenly look really old.
You have to like earn your...
Exactly. The earn your respect is so important there. But here you can just jump through, which I love.
Maybe you don't.
That's a good thing and a bad thing sometimes though too. Yeah.
Yeah.
What were you going to say?
No, maybe you don't see it because you're from the U.S., but I also see it like her, like she, because in places like Hong Kong, Spain, there's always a ceiling. You can see like top interior photographer or commercial photographers, and they're always on a line. They don't charge more than X amount. But here in the U.S., you can see like the average, the medium money that they charge. Of course, it varies from state to state, but you see like photographers that charge a stratospherical
tens of thousands.
Yeah. And there it's not as common.
Yeah.
I've seen in other fields, but not as much in the art field or in photography.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of variety here too. Maybe there's like a lot of editorial stuff. Like we were talking about that Douglas Freeman video being what it was like $800,000 shoot.
We don't know.
Well, we can guess.
Yeah.
But like you probably don't have that kind of commercial stuff happening outside because maybe the cultures are a little different.
I mean, what I mean is, of course, in Europe we have the advertising world and advertising photographers, well-known photographers that travel all over the world. But it's like you're not gonna see many like photographers that charge 3 times what others charge.
Oh, okay, I got it.
Yeah, You don't see him much. It's like I've been surprised sometimes to meet other really good photographers, established like 60-year-old photographers that is shooting for a while and stuff, and they were charging like me. And you don't here you can see like more like a progression in that field, and the services are, you pay for services, not only for photography here in the US. They value more like the services, I guess.
You can pretty much not really be able to make a living doing art in Asia. Yeah, that's also why I left. It's very finance driven. So even the best architectural photographers, you're pretty much earning like a low to medium income, I'm guessing. Yeah.
Well, so, I never understood this actually until I heard you talking about it. Like Hong Kong, I never understood Hong Kong as like separate from, like, I don't even know how I would word it. It's like separate from China. It's not, it's like its own
it's
country kind of
special administrative region.
So I never realized that before. I just always assumed Hong Kong was just another city in China. I never realized that until I heard you talking about it before. So I'm curious. You mentioned like in Asia, there's that like culture of like just very finance driven. Is that also like that in Hong Kong, or is it pretty much just?
Yeah, I say that's across the board.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
It's like
They don't value art much at all in Asia.
Yeah. Not as a career.
Not as a career.
Yeah. But like they do value it more as like tradition, right? But not so much career. Is that fair to
or
say?
just paying for the service. Like really, a logo costs $3,000. I think so, but you would easily pay a doctor whatever. Right. I mean, it's different. Doctors it's more challenging, but you get the gist.
Yeah. Okay. What did you find that to be the case? Is art not as valued in Spain as well?
Hell yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Financially, I should say. Yeah.
I would say my point of view is that they don't value it as much, but art is so present in Europe. I don't know. It's a weird thing. Yeah. You see, people are so art driven. Some people are so art driven naturally, and they have my opinion, good taste. In Europe, in photography, art, but they don't. You don't feel as valued. Maybe it's I just came to my mind. Maybe it's even a good thing because you want to fight. You want to be better, right? You're not valued, and you're trying to stand out. Maybe that fight is good.
I think maybe what it is in America, it's not, and maybe this is just my skewed perspective, but I almost wonder if it's not about the art here either. It's more about just the branding and the image making. It's like, people aren't so much hiring. My observation is that people aren't hiring photographers for the art, for like how artistic the photos look. That it's for a perception management. They hire a photographer because it's part of their brand here, and it's like, it's all about marketing. It's all about making an image. I mean, maybe I'm wrong.
That's everywhere.
Yeah. Well, but what I'm saying is, I'm curious, like, so is marketing valued and branding valued as much in Asia and Europe?
Yeah, you nailed it. Branding doesn't matter there. Okay. For these, $30 million homes in Hong Kong, they take phone pictures. They don't even have websites, nothing. You just, my realtor send me this. Okay, let's go in person. You don't even have a website, or even luxury residences. They don't even have websites. They just do workshops where you can just see, like, they just explain to you how the building's going to look, or just some sort of SketchUp. But here the branding is so important, and in Asia even if you think about in Asia, you get a Olympian person or someone, they do endorsements for 20 brands or whatever. They don't even have their own. These brands don't have a voice. They just, this person is a famous skier. She won a lot of Olympic medals, or snowboarder, and they got her for like milk products, hair products. There's no brand. They just, you know what I mean?
I also see more the difference between super rich and poor people in Europe than here. Yeah, I starting to see the same here, but I can see it more there in Europe.
So it's almost like America. It's pretty stereotypical, but America seems to be more of an image-driven culture. Like we're all about chasing, or what's the phrase? Keeping up with the Joneses here. Like, big house for small. Like, when I was shooting real estate primarily, I became frustrated with real estate. Like everything, like I became desensitized to homes, and I'm sure you guys have as well. It's like it takes a lot to impress me on a house now, and often I'm more impressed by like thoughtful, smaller, well-designed homes. But in the real estate world, it's like you're shooting McMansions and just these big houses with, well, at least in the Midwest, basements. These big empty basements that are like 2,000 square foot long or large basements with like hardly any furniture in them, and it's like it's all about like people buy these big houses to kind of just make an image for themselves. Like we're successful, so we have a big house with really nice cars. And I don't know, I think like the real estate kind of, and when you see like the real estate photography, we joke about it a lot, but like the EDM roller coasters with you know, the agents in their suits, like everything is about image making here is my point. Mm-hmm. So I guess to wrap that conversation up, it's like the cultures in Europe and Asia don't value that showiness, that perception that we do here in the States is kind of the difference.
Another thing is identity, and I think Americans obsess more about identity. Like this brand understands me, and there's like probably 5 brands that really click with you, whereas in Asia, I think the brands that make a difference are the high-end Gucci, Louis Vuitton, but they don't need to obsess about buying brands that fit their identity, whereas here, like, oh, I like to use this website because I like the style more.
Yeah.
It's over there, it might be more practical, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Do you think that's the same in Spain? Pretty much the.
Yeah. I would say it's similar to here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, it is more about image there in Spain.
Yeah.
Really?
But they don't pay for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
How do you think those experiences have? And I know you're still fresh here for it's only been a few months, but I guess in your 8 years experience, like, do you think that adds that different perspective gives you an edge in what you do here? I mean, you are very focused on branding and marketing, but do you think that having that background and that perspective kind of gives you an edge somehow?
Yeah, definitely. And also I think that people here are willing to pay above and beyond to get something that is so specifically suited for them. And it's not just, you can definitely niche down here more than in Asia, I feel.
Yeah. And in Asia and Europe, you were feeling, when you were at a certain level, you were feeling like they were getting advantage of you. At least it was what I was feeling, because I don't have the same happened when I was doing real estate. I was doing real estate, like at the end I was spending so much time because I wanted to do it better and better. So during the last 2 or 3 years in Spain, when I was doing interior design and architecture, I was feeling like I'm doing so much, I'm not getting paid for it.
You were just kind of like the hired help.
Yeah,
like, basically.
And here I can feel that we can do more, and they can.
You're more valued here. Yeah. You can charge more. You can actually make a career out of it. That's
exactly.
fulfilling.
Not only charge, but like having a place. Yeah.
Yeah.
And to your question, I think the branding is so important, because I think a lot of photographers don't have a brand. And if you don't have a brand, you're just a number on a sheet, other than a website. And a lot of photographers' websites are pretty similar.
Speaking of that, we'll get to that later. But what did that make your transition moving across the country? Was that like, I mean, aside from Lauren, obviously, but do you think eventually you would have moved out of Spain regardless because of that?
Yeah, I wanted to move out of Spain. I don't know where I wanted to go. Yeah, I always dreamt about the U.S. because I was skating when I was a kid, and one of the best places to skate is the U.S. And I was watching videos.
Well, like inline skating?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Aggressive. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
But
I had some friends who did that professionally here.
You can see here.
Oh, yeah, you can see.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, were they?
Yeah. Ben Chrisman. He was a long time ago. Mike Courier. Okay. Yeah. They were like mostly Midwest, like Chicago and Ohio based, but they competed professionally.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So no, but I mean the U.S. For the world, the U.S. is like a reference. You have Hollywood. You always see the movie. You kind of dream of it. But yeah, it was easy. Like it was like I moved because of her, but also like I wanted to change, so it was easy.
Yeah.
Also, I spent 35 years in the same island. Living in the same island, so it was it was an easy sell for her to convince me to come here.
Yeah.
It's not that here is like heaven, you know. There are pros and the cons of every place, but
You can just look outside of this place and you know it's not heaven. All right, so let's see. We've talked about your background coming from overseas, but I first saw you when you started posting your real estate videos in the Facebook groups. And I've told you this a million times, but just for the sake of everybody else, I'm going to brag on you for a second. So like, I had recently helped a friend record a course on how to do real estate videos. And because pretty much what we saw before that was everybody like, there was basically two different types of real estate videos you would see. You would see the EDM roller coaster music. You guys, yeah, you coined that. So the EDM roller coaster stuff with basically fast speed ramps and just not a lot of soul, I guess, in those videos. And then you'd see kind of the generic walkthroughs where it was basically just a straight walkthrough, not really much happening. A friend of mine was doing these other videos that I found interesting. And then you came out of nowhere. One random like post of a video you did of a celebrity's home in Hollywood or something like that. And you used like some like custom made music and it was just very refreshing, and that kind of came out of nowhere. So, you said you had a background in photography. How did you? And I know you were doing marketing for Disney at the time when you started doing that. But how did you land in real estate or just shooting homes? Period. Like, how did you? Because you started doing video first before you even started doing photos, right?
I did it at the same time.
Oh, did you? Okay. Mm-hmm. So how did that even come about for you?
So I had some free time, because it was work from home during COVID.
Yeah.
And then my brother told me, oh, you have some cameras, you should do something with them. I said, okay, what can I do? And then I thought that I would just do real estate. So I shot 3 homes for free. And I started doing social media marketing. And then soon after, people started to... It was also a good place and a good time because I shoot with the lights off and, you know, I include verticals in my deliveries. And I think only 2 other photographers in LA, now more, I think shoot a similar style. And I think the homes that I shot were more architectural. And so those agents gravitated more to my style than like the flashy style.
But you're able to say that in hindsight. But at the time when it was happening.
Knew it.
Oh,
I actively knew it. Okay, I was like hashtagging like mid-century modern. I was like double downing into architectural realtors because they could, you know, they cross-pollinate their...
Well, so let's bring us back to that process, though, because that's what I'm very curious about, because we've never really had an in-depth conversation about this. So how did you... Okay, like I said, I was kind of setting it up like everybody is doing the real estate photography thing the way you're supposed to do things, flashy, EDM roller coaster videos, walkthrough videos, and then you came out of nowhere with like this slow architectural video, like a lot, kind of like the stuff the Art's doing, and we'll get to yours in a second. Because this is how you guys eventually met, because you have found him through video, essentially. But so that's kind of where I'm going. So you came out of nowhere posting these like very slow paced custom music videos. Obviously the home was nice, but that was all intentional and by design. Like that wasn't just like, I like doing it this way, so I'm going to do it that way. Like
it was very intentional.
So I want to hear about like, how did you?
I think I watched, what was it? Open Homes, or there is a YouTube channel in LA that does some mid-century, and I was talking to the guy, and he said, oh, you just need a slider with 2 tripods. I'm like, sounds pretty easy to me. So I just filmed, I think the first few shoots I just tried it, and I was just filming it for free for the realtors. And I just like the style. And I think one time I tried to like look at the flash tutorials, and I'm like, it just seems like a headache. So and also I think I wasn't so pressured because I had a full-time job, so I didn't have to like feel so much pressure and so much money. Maybe if I didn't have a job, I'll be like, I'm gonna just do whatever style works for whatever realtor. And I think if I just got a job per week or 2 jobs per week, that's just a bonus to my income. So I'm like, I'm just gonna stick to the style. I just have a really good gut feeling, and more people were just like, I want you for that style, rather than like, because then I'm not competing with people who are just price shopping. They're just like, I want you for that style. And then I'm like, I'm just going to stick to it. There's less gear, like flash. There's less editing. And just everything just made sense to me.
Yeah. And you're also doing it the way that you want to do it. You're not
exactly.
You're not just like, adopting a formula that's been taught to you, saying do this, replicate it, and make money.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So through that process, so video and photo came at the same time, but it obviously at some point, and you still do this, I know you from time to time you post videos that you're inspired by, but at some point you came across this guy's work. Like how did, because did Shifter start before you?
Right at the same time.
At the same time, okay.
Yeah.
So how did you, so you're doing research, like just finding videos that you're interested in. You, like, how did you stumble across Art's work?
I started to try to learn more for the videos that I do.
And you were looking outside of real estate. You were just more looking at, like, I noticed you were sharing like resort things.
Yeah.
I think even, not even resort, like there was other things that weren't even like
Furniture commercials.
Yeah, furniture. Yeah.
I guess I just never looked at real estate.
Yeah.
Like I just don't even watch them at all.
Right.
You know why I appreciate what I've seen in her since I know her, is that she's more like a doer. She's so confident.
Yeah.
And other people are like, without looking down on them,
Yeah.
but it's different. She's like, oh, I want to do that, and she does that, and and so confident. Maybe she improves her style and her product over time. She always evolves and get better. But since I know her, she's so confident.
Mm-hmm.
And there are people like there. I know people that are shooting for 15 years, but they're like so insecure still, and they're like trying to learn so much. And it's good. You have to learn. You have to learn from others. But she's always like so hands-on and confident.
More of a doer.
Yeah, and that's the thing I think is has worked so well for her, right?
Yeah.
You got the drone so quickly as well, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And the vest. I saw you post. You got the green vest.
Oh yeah.
The drone vest. Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing is I also try to do, if everyone is doing one thing, that makes me not want to do it. Because for the videos, I was talking to a guy, he's like, oh yeah, you can just make those for 800. To me, that's so much, like if you're working for Disney, you only get like 30 an hour or whatever when you divide everything. And I was like, okay, good. So no one's doing that. That means they're going to hire me for just the editorial videos because everyone else is doing roller coasters in LA. And then I think about the confidence thing, I think knowing that Americans care so much about the brand, I double down on my social media. I post like just verticals, hashtag, like they feel like it's a brand that they want to be part of. If I didn't do any like social media, or I sometimes I do, panning and tag the realtor, I think that also like helps me not get imposter syndrome if I can hide behind a brand, if that makes sense. That because people get suctioned into like, oh, this is so cool. You have a cool website. You're shooting everywhere. It's like kind of an illusion. I'm like, okay, believe this.
Yeah.
So that helped.
But
yeah.
do you think that? Are you detached from that need to feel like you are branded? I don't know if I worded that right. So knowing that Americans are as concerned with brand and image as we are, like, do you feel that, well, both of you actually being from different cultures and countries, do you feel like you've like, do you feel brand for you is important, or are you able to kind of detach yourself a little bit from that, and you're just able to use that, like you're able to detach yourself from the emotional need of that, and it's basically a utility? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's definitely a utility to me.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just kind of like a shell that I can see from afar and then just move it however.
That's such an advantage. Like, and you were here. So I was talking with Simon about that. Pretty much the same as that thing, and it must be an American thing. Like, we're so concerned with like perception management and making sure that we're like, even growing a business, like starting a real estate photography business, and then eventually becoming an art. Like, I'm still in the middle of like the first 4 years of starting my architectural photography business, and I'm still so conscious of like how I'm coming off to potential clients, and like, and my pricing thing is just perfect enough to where they're gonna, maybe entertain working with me. And I'm just finally, it's like 4 years into it, and I'm just finally starting to get to the point where it's like I'm comfortable in my own skin, and I'm comfortable doing the things the way I want. Like, I've grown this beard out now because I don't really care anymore. I'm just wearing t-shirts and tennis shoes to my meetings. Like, I'm just being myself, and I'm getting higher paid jobs. It's just interesting how it's all starting to happen. Like, when I start caring less about the image that I'm making and more just being myself, the more people respond to that. It's just an odd thing.
Yeah, but if you care so much about something, you take it so seriously. It's contradictory sometimes.
Well, do you think that for your perspective, I mean, I know you said you were more about the art versus like the branding and the marketing stuff or the businessy part of stuff. Do you think that, you know, being here now, can you see, I don't know, I guess where do you fall into that mindset now? Like, how do you think about it?
My nature, I'm such a nerd, for photography and stuff.
Yeah.
And
I've learned that about you in the short time that I've known you.
Yeah. But also, I think the brain has two parts, like like the rational and the emotional.
Yeah.
I think, and it also translates in art. When you see a photographer, you can see what side do they have more developed. I think I don't want to brag about myself, but I think I'm pretty balanced. I have the art side, but also the rational, that it would be the nerdy side.
Yeah.
So yeah, answering to your question, I think no, I've always been so aware about brands and stuff, but same as you were talking with Simon before, he got to a point that he doesn't care about what other people think, and that's the best, that's the best way to showcase yourself, because I always been so like a clown, like so messy, and I never care about it. My clients have just love with my with the things, yeah, and yeah, I haven't care much, but I always paid attention to not only like the brand but also communities. Why are we here now? Because there are photographers that are so isolated. I'm not saying that is bad, but we care about communities, right?
Mm-hmm.
We all always engage in and stuff, and that's the thing that I really enjoy, and yeah.
So I'll brag on you for a second, because like the minute I saw that account pop up, one, it's like the perfect name.
The shifter community.
Yeah, it's like the perfect name. Just really well thought. So, for those of you who aren't following, there's Shifter.com on Instagram. So, but yeah, that was where did that start with COVID?
Yeah.
Or okay.
Yeah.
And what was obviously I'm very community focused, so like that, it was refreshing for me to see that, and I like that it's all focused on behind the scenes.
Yeah.
It's more focused on like what we do day to day and seeing all that. So like, what is it, because you're a little more nerdy that you're just interested in seeing what people are doing? Like why that specific?
No, not really.
Okay.
No, it was because I always want to show what's behind the scenes in my work. I always done it, like I've done it for the last 10 years or so, and I wanted to show that part from other photographers. I wanted to have a page, an Instagram feed or something that other photographers can show their stuff. And I realized, I was surprised when I started, other photographers were saying, "Oh, because of this account now, I share what's behind. I before I was so secretive, or I just show what was in front of the camera. It gets a bit boring sometimes, just cameras and stuff. But it's not only that. We've done interviews with people and hearing their voice, and like now, it's interesting to see what's behind, because I felt like when you see, for example, an architect's feed, right, or a photographer's feed, or whatever, if you don't know that it's an architect or a photographer, it's the same, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's important to show your personality, what's behind the camera, to show for people to see that you're an expert, that you know what you're talking about, you know what you're doing,
and that you're fun.
Exactly.
I think
It's a win-win.
So.
Yeah.
I think like for me, I've like I don't post on Instagram that much anymore, but like every other post I make is now behind the scenes exclusively because of what Shifters.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I mean that's the only reason I started doing that, because I found it very interesting. And to your point, it's like if I'm scrolling through my feed and all I see is houses and commercial spaces, it's like I don't stop and look anymore, because I've seen it already.
Yeah, I have a construction client in Spain that has really popped out on Instagram. He's a builder. He popped out because he's a character, but he popped out it's called Ramon. I don't think he's listening to this, but he's he showed his personality on his video and the behind the scene, how he builds walls, work with teams, and he has blown up.
Yeah.
And I was inspired by him as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that there's something about the behind the scenes, especially when COVID hit. It's like we all of a sudden were forced to come to terms with, like, not to get super deep or anything, but we were kind of forced to come to terms with, hey, like, life's not doesn't have to be all about business and making money and image. Like, it's like we're all people, and like I think we all kind of at some point during the pandemic kind of came to terms with our mortality. And I think like human connections became even more important during that time.
Exactly.
And behind the scenes and Zoom interviews and everything, like people were craving like realness during that time. Like polished video, like making polished video content wasn't as important anymore. Like you can just film behind the scenes with your phone.
It was more real.
Yeah, it was more real.
Casey Neistat.
Yeah. Good example.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that I don't know. For me personally, I found that when I saw that account pop up, and I don't remember specifically how I came across it, but I remember when I first started seeing pop up, I was like, oh, this is cool. This is something that I think is going to be really, and it's not like a platform. I mean, at least as of right now, it's not a platform to like make money or like monetize. It's like, it's just about the community.
Yeah.
And that's refreshing. Like as somebody who does make money off of like educational content, like I understand how that can be cringy sometimes. So like having something that's just pure and it's just about like showing what we're all doing, and it keeps us connected. It's like, I met you guys at PMRE in person for the first time, and it's like I already felt like I knew you guys.
Same.
Even though you were across the ocean, and that kind of brings us to where you guys. So at the same time you were doing those real estate videos, you came across what you were now. Did you come across him before the Shifter thing popped up, or was it?
Yeah, it was before.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think it just was recommended to me because his YouTube SEO was bad. So I think it was recommended to me, and then I was watching it and I had to do the translation.
Wow.
Closed captions to understand what he's saying, explaining everything. I mean, his videos were like,
well, what do you mean? What do you mean explaining everything? Like, what did he have?
He had behind the scenes in Spanish.
Oh,
yeah.
On YouTube?
Yeah, so I was trying to learn, and that's why I had to turn on the captions to understand what he was saying. That's how I was learning at the beginning.
I don't think even if you would be Spanish, maybe you wouldn't understand me. I was so messy.
I didn't realize that. I don't know if I've ever looked at your YouTube channel except for the videos you posted. I don't know if I ever saw.
Oh yeah, I have a few. Yeah.
Okay, I'll have to go look.
Yeah, he did quite a few behind the scenes and also tips and tricks, and he had a Spanish following that were watching these videos, and so I just really liked them, and I shared them on my Instagram. My favorite videographer, and I tagged him, and that's how we started talking.
Who is this cute girl?
Interesting. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's the internet. I mean, we're all connected. It doesn't matter where you're at. So you reached out. Who reached out to who?
Like I tagged him on my stories, and then that opened the chat.
Yeah, but I'm saying, did you DM her after that, and then?
Yeah, we start talking.
Okay. Interesting. So eventually Shifter started, or it was around the same time.
Yeah.
And then did you partner up with him shortly after on that, or like did you guys partner up from the beginning on that, or on Shifter?
Our story has been so accelerated, right? I feel.
But Shifter is mostly his thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, did you join on to the did you start like from the beginning? Did you kind of start copying?
After you started Shifter, that you gave me the login, I think.
No, but
it's like kind of giving the keys to your.
What you also mean is like, or when our businesses merge, right?
No, well, I mean, we'll get there, but Shifter specifically.
Oh yeah, no, just.
I'm trying to paint a picture of how the whole.
A few months later, I said, "Oh, you should help me, right?" And then we started.
I was like, "Really, me?" I'm like, "I don't know anything. I don't know any photographers." I'm like, "There's 100 more people." I'm like, "You probably like me then."
Yeah, I was gonna say he probably had other thoughts in his head. Yeah.
And he interviewed me. For Shifter. I'm like, you literally interviewed like Jim Stevens and then me that started shooting for 2 months.
Well, but like I said earlier, like it doesn't matter how long you've been doing things. It's if somebody comes on the scene and they're doing something interesting and different, like that's I don't care how long you've been doing it. And that's another thing. I don't know if it's just this community or what, but I feel like maybe it's just real estate specific even. I don't know, but I don't think the amount of time you've been doing stuff, or what's the word? However established you are. Like we were talking earlier about how like in Asia, like you need to
Oh yeah.
earn your keep for like 30 years or whatever before you're. But I think you can be doing something for 2 months, and if you're doing something interesting and noteworthy, like I don't know. I learn from everybody personally, so I don't know.
I agree with you.
I don't think you only doing it for 2 months is that big of a deal to be interviewed. To be honest with you, so
Exactly.
I mean, at this point, it's only been what 2 years, so it's like
And I think for us is
you got somebody to move from Spain. Like I mean, yeah. Anyway,
but it is thing for us as artists to be connected with newer generations, right?
yeah,
Because you can get stuck in your way, and if you don't know what they're doing, you know, you're I like to learning of. I've seen it from you as well. You always innovating and doing new stuff, get in touch with new people, and some people they just dinosaurs, you know.
Well, I'm not doing anything new. I'm only doing stuff that I've learned along the way, but I don't learn everything through the architecture and real estate world. And probably the same for you. Like I learn things through other like I don't talk about my background a lot, but I've held over 30 jobs like
Wow.
in my life. Like cuz I don't like doing the same thing for more than 2 years. I have to switch things up. So from the time I was 15, my first job was actually in a Chinese restaurant.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
I was 15. I got paid $3 an hour and a free meal every single night, and I did that for like a year. And then I held like just job after job, and I would have like 3 different jobs. But every single job that I worked, I learned something from them, you know.
Yeah.
And had nothing to do with photography or anything. Like photography, I stumbled across.
Wow.
But I've had so many different life experiences and work experiences that it's like I take a little bit of everything that I've observed in my lifetime and I apply that to things I'm doing now.
Mhm.
I can't think of any examples of what that looks like in real time here, but like I know for a fact that I've done things that like for instance, I used to work in a car wash, and there were, and this may not be a groundbreaking example, but there are these cleaning solution cans that we would use, and I also used to do graffiti.
Wow.
Yeah, I used to do it's like all the spray paints. I used to do that stuff, but the cleaning solutions that we would use would have these nozzles on them that like made a clean line when you sprayed them. So you know, if you take a can of spray paint from the store, you spray it on a wall, it's like it's not a clean line. It's like misty. You know, these caps made a perfectly straight line and clean line, so you can make very like clean cut lines with these caps. So I was essentially taking these caps. I've never talked about this before. I was taking these caps and I was like swapping them out for the bad spray paint caps. So I go buy and I get spray paint. I take those bad caps. I put them on the cleaning because they still worked the same, but I would use the cleaning ones for my graffiti that I would do. But like becoming resourceful is my whole point. Like
Exactly.
you take something that doesn't belong in the thing that you're currently interested in, and you figure out a way to do it. Like to your point, taking advantage of the American, you know, concern with image and everything like that, and using that to your advantage. Like, how do you take something that you've learned in your own work experience and apply it to what you're doing now? I don't know where I was going with that rant, but it doesn't matter. Anyway, my whole point was, I think that no matter how long you've been doing something, that you can learn something from everybody because everybody brings different life and work experiences with them. So.
Exactly, because he's only been in the same trade for his whole life. So
I also been waiter and other stuff.
just a waiter. He and other stuff. Just a waiter.
Yeah,
Well, what else did you do? So you did waiting, and what else did you do?
no, just I've been like being like quote unquote an artist my whole life.
That's what I mean.
Like painting, drawing, like since I was 3 years old.
Me too. But that like I started drawing. I went to high school when I was in high school. My entire senior year was only art classes. Like I was going to go to school for art, and I decided not to. I went to school for music, audio engineering instead. And I've always done art. Like my whole thing was always art, but I could never figure out a way to make money with it until real estate photography, pretty much.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. It's always been art, but I've always held other jobs. Like you did the waiter thing.
Yeah.
I was working at car washes and Chinese restaurants and, you know, all these other things. But to your point, like working as a waiter, though, I mean, like you learn a lot about business through those experiences, though.
Also, like I feel at least for me when it was young, like a teenager, I was like, you're so comfortable, and you when you start working, like you, oh my god, like you wake up, right? You feel like you have to be aware of different situations. You have to be fast. You have to think so much.
You have to learn how to talk to people.
Yeah, and it was for me at least. It was so helpful. It was a thing that I'm so thankful for my parents because I was studying photography and stuff. I didn't go to college, but other more practical photography. I don't know how it's called here in the U.S., but art school or something. But on on summers I was working as a waiter for different summers, and it helped me out so much to open my mind to see. Yeah.
Well, you have to. It's kind of grunt work in a way. Like you take a lot of abuse, and you deal with a lot of like egos, and you have to deal with all different kinds of people. In America, they like caddying, like for golfers, is a big thing. Like they have scholarships for people who caddy, like carry people's golf bags.
That's great.
So like I've had friends that went to college on a caddy, like a golf scholarship because they were caddies, like they carried people's golf bags around. But like you do like grunt work because it's hard, and you build a lot of resilience and a lot of like you do learn how to interact with people a lot doing that kind of work. So I don't know. I don't think I think you carry a lot of that into the business world.
Yeah,
for sure. So from there, you guys were interacting. Shifter happened. You partnered up with Shifter. Then at some point, everybody in the community, hey, is Art and Lauren together? Because you guys posted some videos of you guys meeting up in like somewhere like Dominican or something.
Exactly.
So everybody's like message each other, hey, you think something's going on here? Yeah. So, and then all of a sudden there's like I think I remember you guys posted like one photo, you guys were like holding hands or something like that. You guys were doing something like PDA, and we're like, everybody started like, celebrating or whatever.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, you didn't know that?
I didn't know that people cared. I don't know.
Oh well, look, this is a tight knit community. Like now that you know people, you know that everybody was talking about it, right? I mean, well, I'm saying we all talk to each other.
Exactly.
But it was an exciting thing because, well, one, it's kind of a cool story, but two, it's like our community. So, we see that happening. It's like, yeah, that's a cool thing. So how did that come about? Did you guys start long distance relationship just through the internet before you guys met in person?
Yeah.
Just for a few months, but we start meeting on our early stage.
I think he sent me an email, was like, I just want to be with you or something. And I was
an email.
Out of the blue?
Yeah. I woke up, I was like,
yeah.
And then I like rewinded to like all the points that I realized that he liked me, like the Shifter and different things. And sometimes I'm a bit oblivious.
You were analyzing it?
Yeah, I'm like,
Oh wait, so
I mean, I liked him already, but it was more on like, so this is pretty serious now or something than just like, so I would just ask him for advice, and he's like so friendly to me. And then also like I liked him as well, but it's more concrete. Yeah, I'm trying to say. Yeah.
Wow. So that came out of the blue. He was just
I just woke up one day with an email.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. You speak your mind.
Yeah, I mean,
when you knew, you knew.
If you snooze, you lose, right?
That's true. I mean, who knows? Who knows without that. So you guys were talking for a few months after that. You confirmed it, obviously, like, that's cool. We can continue. And you guys started interacting, met online. You decided to get together in the Dominican. I'm assuming it was a good kind of halfway point, and also like for legalities or whatever, it was probably easier to do that.
Everything was closed as well.
It was mostly COVID.
Oh, right.
It was like early stages where very, very few, only 5 countries were open.
Only 21.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So Dominican was the place. And did you plan... Were you already talking about like merging your businesses and doing like resorts or kind of like?
I don't think so.
No, but it was after that trip or something.
Maybe it was kind of like simmering in the background a little bit.
Yeah, I think we were already helping each other, and we realized that we work well together. But it was after that trip or the trip after, I think, that natural. We joined. Yeah. And
what was, I guess, did you go there with the intention of shooting it? Like, did you shoot it while you were there, or was that just a trip to?
Not in the first one.
The first trip we didn't shoot anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you eventually, after that trip, you're like, hey, let's make this a thing, and then
we actually talked to you online when we were at that trip.
Oh yeah.
On the balcony.
Right. That's right. I forgot about.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We interviewed you. Yeah.
But that was the first time I think I talked to you guys. Was I don't remember.
I think so.
But I do remember that now that I think about it.
Oh yeah,
I didn't realize that was the first trip.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. So anyway, after that trip, then you decided, hey, maybe we could do this while you're over there. We can travel across the world and like go to different destinations. And is that kind of how the merging of businesses started, or did you talk early on about you eventually moving over here? Like, how did?
Yeah, we started the process like a long time ago, but it takes so long.
Yeah, but I think we pretty much, it's either if it's long distance, it's here or there. And we both agreed the US so easily. And I think realizing that I would have to help him.
Yeah.
I would want to anyway. So I'm like, oh yeah, just merge. And I think he was thinking about changing the name as well, which I was kind of surprised about actually, because if he's doing it for 15 years and he's known as Art Sanchez and stuff, like, well, he's actually going to, rechange that. It's a huge thing. But it made sense if you're moving and starting from scratch. Who knew who you were before? So
I never been proud of names or anything. I'm more a practical person. We just changed our name to Arturo.
He changed his last name as well.
I even changed my last name to Arturo Engel.
You actually I want to ask you about that. Did you actually change it, or is it more just the?
I changed it. I changed it
physically
actually.
in the marriage certificate.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool, and especially coming from like the American culture, that's like the wife takes traditional American culture. The wife takes the man's last name. So, I've always known you as Art Sanchez.
Mm-hmm.
I also noticed it became Arturo Engel. Did you?
My name is Arturo.
I know it's Arturo, but I'm saying, was that also? Because if I'm not mistaken, you always had it as Art Sanchez, didn't you?
Yeah.
Did you specifically choose to start using your full name versus the?
Yeah, she decided.
Yeah. My grandpa was calling him Arthur. I'm like, he's not Arthur, but most people in America would think like Art is short for Arthur. And then also I think like I liked Arturo. It sounded more European.
But
my background.
That conversation may sound that she. I
understand.
I'm so opinionated and everything. I have a strong personality, but I don't care. I don't care about names or anything.
You think you have a strong personality?
He does.
Really?
Yeah.
No, but I mean, what I mean with that is that if I stand about my thoughts,
Yeah.
If I think, I don't.
Yeah, certain things he cares a lot, and certain things he doesn't care about.
Okay.
And I guess names is something that he's like doesn't really.
Yeah, but
care.
I don't care about names or birthdays or anything. But just
That's actually good. It's freeing because I mean personally, from the branding perspective, Arturo Engel does sound. That's like a solid brand. It kind of paints a picture. You guys both have interesting names. It looks good. Just the title you use on the videos, it's consistent. It just has a good vibe to it, and you guys work well together. So I don't know. I think it was a good choice.
Thank you.
I do think that's really neat though because I thought the Engel thing was just more of a branding thing. I didn't realize you went through the legalities of that too.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
To make it more unified. People don't change their last name in Spain, but it's a thing here. So Engel is a cool name. So we change it.
Would you have changed it if there was no business involved, or was it more that it just makes sense for the?
Oh yeah,
we would change it.
Yeah.
Huh. to Engel.
Yeah.
Really.
I asked. He was saying, "Oh, maybe you should ask your parents." I asked my parents. Oh, it's fine. Yeah, they're like I'm like them. Oh yeah, you can change it. Yeah.
How would I don't know. Is that a thing? Because I know your dad is American, right?
Mm-hmm.
Was that like I don't know. How was that in your family?
My mom didn't change her last name.
Okay.
And I guess in Asian culture, I need to double check actually, but she didn't. And I think my parents actually like keeping the last names. They don't think that you should change it. They feel like there's more identity. But yeah, I think we just kind of wanted.
But I didn't change it because I wanted to be Engel or anything. Just it's practical. Okay, fine.
It was kind of like practical as well, and it just felt more cohesive. Like when we have a family and whatnot. I wouldn't say for the Engel, I wouldn't even say it's anything really related to business because we don't even put on our site our last name. So yeah,
that's true. That's a good point. Yeah. I'm not going to pry into you said when you start a family, so I won't pry into that. But I mean, someday down the road, right?
Yeah,
we would like to.
Yeah. I wasn't going to go down that road, but I think we're already there. So have you guys been talking about that, or is that something you're kind of just I mean, you guys are still freshly married. I know this. You've been talking for a few years, but are you in any hurry to get that started, or like what's the plan? You don't have to talk about this in detail if you want to.
We wouldn't mind having a kid at any time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's
he
not.
looks older than his age too. He's gonna be 40 soon.
What?
Yeah.
No, you're not.
Oh, I'm 37.
Yeah,
What
but
do you mean?
Okay, wait.
Yeah.
Soon. Okay, to me that's not soon. You've got plenty of time before you're 40. I'm 40. I'm gonna be 43 this year.
But you have kids already.
I have
grown
I
kids.
have one kid. Yeah.
Yeah.
So no, she's only 8.
yeah, that's
Well.
still when he was.
No, she means that she's younger than me and she's a bit concerned.
You've got
for
time.
me. Yeah.
You've got time.
Yeah.
You'll be fine.
No, yeah, but we're not planning or anything. But yeah, we want to have kids eventually.
Yeah.
I mean, my wife was 32 when she had her first.
Oh.
Had her daughter.
How old were you?
31. I was 30. Well, my daughter's 8. I'm 42 now. It was 2014. I would have been 7 years, 8 years, 7 years. I'm horrible with math. This is how I do math in my head.
How much older are you than your wife?
So you were 34.
I was 34. Yeah, that makes sense. 34. My wife, I'm 3 years older than my wife.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that's a very backwards way of doing that, but that's how I do math. Yeah, so 34. So yeah, and she should have been 30 or 31.
How do you have any impact your career?
No, it worked out for us because of our personalities and the way we do things. Like my wife stays at home and we homeschool.
That's great.
She was kind of just made to do that. That's just her personality. She's a great teacher. She's super patient. For our lifestyle, it works well because I love working and I love doing stuff. Like I always have to be working. And it's not so much for that I have to be working. I'm a very active person. I like interacting with people. I like doing various things. I like traveling a lot. It's hard for me to just sit still. But she's very comfortable, like just being in one place. So it works out well for our situation. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of similar to us because he loves to be out and about shooting, and I actually don't like shooting. I'd rather be at home, like working with the team and coming up with ideas.
Do you see that being is that kind of the business model that you see happening? Like you'll pretty much just be running the businessy marketing type stuff and you'll kind of be doing the creative
exactly.
photography.
Yeah. And I realized that I don't really like joining in shoots anymore.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah.
So you're not so much into you're kind of over.
It's easy to fight with the wife when you're on set, you know.
And if you both have strong opinions on how things should look, or like compositions, or what?
It's not I feel like it's not the compositions. It's more on like, give me this gear, and I'm like, oh. Or he was trying to teach me how to set up a gimbal. I'm like, I just don't want to learn this.
No, she's more like marketing person. So
I think I can't be a technical assistant, and I would never.
Yeah, but your time is wasted. Her talent is wasted, you know.
What if on location, instead of you helping with that creative, you're there like just thinking about the marketing and the branding of like whatever thing you're working on?
That's fine.
Some behind the scenes, or like even like little vignettes that he's not like. In other words, you're doing your own separate things on location. Like, does that?
Yeah, we thought about that, but I think in the future, when we get bigger clients, to hire a creative director, because if they want to pay money for me to be on set, I would have to be a really, really good creative director and have awesome ideas. And I think that's another skill that I would rather outsource. And
so you're not even interested in being on location?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's good. We're going to miss each other more. Right?
There is something to be said about that, to be honest.
Right?
With you. Like when you're working side by side all the time.
We're on the same desk.
Oh man.
We're facing each other.
It's gonna change soon.
Yeah.
It's gonna change soon. But yeah. But she was saying about creative director. That comes because we're doing more and more video, and our clients have different requirements.
Okay.
It's a thing that I can see in the future having even in house.
Do you still find yourself like interested? Like, I mean, I know you're more the artist, but like, do you find yourself getting burned out with that, or like, what keeps you motivated? Because I mean, well, I guess you're now in a different country. You're going to see different things, different types of homes and everything. But for me, I get kind of tired of seeing the same thing over and over.
Yeah.
Like, so what keeps you motivated?
I mean, to be honest, not now. Well, I'm in the US because now we're establishing our company and stuff. But I've been burned out for the last 10 years.
Oh.
I've never been not burned out. I was shooting like 2-3 projects a week for for so many years.
Okay.
Yeah. So
but you weren't able to charge what you
it
charge.
was top. It was good money for Spain.
Where you were. Okay.
Yeah, but compared to here, but it's not always apples to apples. Cost of living here is higher, but even counting that, I felt that I wasn't charging enough. But yeah, I was charging double of the average photographer in Spain was charging. But yeah, for me being burned out, it was normal. But
he likes being burned out.
No, I don't. No, what I realized, I like being on the field. I don't mind being 16 hours on a shoot and then the next day and the next day. But what we want to do more now is that I felt like, especially in video in Spain, I was running so on autopilot. I wasn't caring much about what the client is. It's not that I wasn't caring, but I wasn't aware. I wasn't mature enough because I was doing so many videos.
You had a system and a process you could just follow, and it was kind of mindless at that.
And sometimes I realized, also talking with other people in the industry and seeing other works outside of architectural videography, I was saying, we should be more creative, because sometimes what I was doing in video, it was the same as photo, showing the space. Yeah, but you show the space with photo, right? I think for video, you can especially for video, you can show an angle that is different, and that's what we're doing more lately.
Yeah. Is the shooting part what's fulfilling for you, or like what part of it is the
shooting part?
The shooting part.
Yeah.
What about the post production?
Oh gosh,
No.
I always done it, and I'm pretty good on it.
You're so good.
I mean, I think the results are decent. My photo editing and stuff. I hate it.
But what motivates you more is the shooting. Is it the process of it, or is it the creative of it? Like, what is it? I know the technical thing. You're really into technical stuff. Like, what?
You're saying, the technical thing is that I'm so nerdy, but I'm really I've been nerdy just to be more like
better
have tools on set that you don't. When you're so technical, you don't even think about things. Let's do that. Boom. Oh, time lapse here. Oh yeah, easy. But I'm so artistic. I'm more artistic, but I want to be technical, for not thinking about the technicality. I don't want to come every time, how to do this, how to do that, No, just easy. Oh, okay, let's do it. Yeah. But I love being on the field, catching light. As you interviewed Simon before, I felt identified on what he was saying. Like, I feel like when I've seen works of photography, I don't know if it's a bit off topic when I'm gonna say now, but in the US, I've seen like photographers, they so strict, like, they shoot so wide, right? And they saw, there's 15 images and stuff, And when I work in Spain, I also had like the clients want certain images, right? We always try to maximize it so much. Like, aside from the hero shot, you make sure that you do the detail, you do the texture, and it helped me to see other sides of of a project. I feel like when I've seen, not all the photographers in the US obviously, but when I've seen photographers in the US, it's always like, here's the space, so descriptive, and you don't see like vignettes and stuff. That's what I think photographers like Joe Fletcher, for example, has succeeded so much, because he shows more like an emotional side, and he works so well with natural light. And I think
Joe Fletcher is also not American,
and British. Yeah.
So that I'm wondering if there's a pattern.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not bragging about myself, but I remember when we were shooting in Spain, like we were always chasing the light. Especially, what helped me to realize the light more? It was video, because when I started doing video, cameras were not so good.
Yeah.
And if you don't nail the right moment of light on a room, it was the window was white, was blown out.
Yeah.
And in photo, you can get around it. And video helped me to be a better photographer, understand the light better.
Yeah. I used to deal with that. Did you ever shoot Canon, or were you?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you ever use like the magic lantern hack?
Oh yeah, the raw video. And
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah. I used to use that to compensate.
Oh,
for
it
that.
was that is nerdy.
That was nerdy, yeah, I got nerdy for a little bit. Yeah.
That's like you had the camera, and with the code thing.
Oh my god.
Yeah, basically it was a firmware hack for the Canon cameras. Yeah, you could brick your camera doing that too, but it was worth it because you could do the HDR video, which was like
Wow.
being able to see. Anyway, it was Anyway, now they have Blackmagic. That's why I switched to Blackmagic cameras. Cause I don't want to have to think about light anymore. I wanted to be able to like pull in raw detail and adjust white balance after the fact. That's about as nerdy as I get these days. I'm like teetering this place between, and you heard me talking about it with Simon, but it's like I'm trying to break free of all of the structure that American real estate and architectural photographers have like taught you that you're supposed to do things this way. Like you price things this way, you shoot this way, you interact with your clients this way. Like there's like so many ways you're supposed to do things, according to like what I've learned on YouTube and through various courses. Like I don't know, so I'm trying to break free of all that, and so
what I like you put more emphasis, you guys here, is that you treat every shoot more like a commercial, and I personally like it. I was doing scouting and everything for forever, but here's more like comprehensive, and I like that process.
There's something nice about it because you can. It's an easy process to replicate, but it also is a lot. I mean, for me at least, it's more stressful. I feel like I have to perform more.
Mm-hmm.
I can't just respond to things. I have to like put on kind of a performance almost. I have to like show up with a nice camera and a nice tripod. Like I can't not take my camera off the tripod and shoot. I can, but the client needs to see the professional photographer happen.
But you can have a second camera to do.
Well, I do. Yeah. So now especially when I'm doing video and photos on a shoot, I've got 2 cameras set up usually, and I'm either running a time lapse or I have a camera on a slider, and I'll do shots at the same time, and I'll shoot both things. I know you do that as well, but like, I'm slowly starting to break from that like program that we're supposed to do as photographers here, because I don't know. Again, it's a lot more freeing when I don't have to be tethered to a tripod. I can just walk around. And I was saying earlier, like a lot of times I'll do scouting shoots just with a handheld camera, and I'll use those and license those to the client, like as a deliverable.
Especially for buildings, right?
For buildings or like exteriors, a lot of shots. So I had a shoot. I shot an art project at the Nashville airport about a month ago, and
the pics are really good.
I only shared the video. I have some. I don't think. Well, they posted some of them on their account. The artist did, but every shot that I posted from that was like some of them that they licensed. I delivered. They licensed 16 photos from that shoot, and 8 of them were like handheld shots. Like I just shot them handheld, and it's like, why can't I just do that?
There are no rules. Yeah,
I know there's no rules, but it's like we're programmed to think there are ways you're supposed to do things.
I'm gonna go a bit gossipy now. There are so many people in the community. When you're in a community, people rant about each other. It's normal.
Yeah.
Right? But I've seen so many people ranting about these European photographers that shoot handheld. Fernando Guerra,
I love that they do.
I'm not saying that I really love what they're doing, but what I really like is that the audience likes what they're doing, and they're doing their way, and or even Van, for example, we met multiple big number of connections in the industry here in the US that they say, oh, I really like Ivan Van. Oh, why? Maybe photographers don't like Ivan Van or Fernando Guerra, but clients love them. Why? Because I think that's key. The audience likes them because they do their own thing, right? They document a building, not only with a building, the relationship with society, people interacting with the building, the culture, the surroundings. It's not, of course, you or me, we're gonna see on the picture. Oh, this is not technically perfect, you know. And
the
we
verticals aren't perfect.
Yeah, why not? On the color cast, whatever, the editing can be better or worse. So they didn't remove that lamppost over there or whatever, right? But the audience likes it. So I think it's a thing to admire as well. You have to see what the audience likes, and what the images convey. You know, even that is, if it's not my style or your style or whatever. I think they're doing a better job than us. You know.
So so from a branding perspective, from a marketing perspective, are you kind of looking at, like, how are you approaching your business now? The blending of your two businesses, the Arturo and the
Well, it's blended already.
well, but how are you handling it from a branding perspective is what I'm saying. Like, are you leveraging this behind the scenes stuff, like, or I mean, I don't know, like, I guess just talk about that for a second. How are you? What's the plan? Like, how are you approaching it?
I think the key thing is to be video first. I think our key clients are gonna hire us for video, because most people in the U.S. already have a photographer, and we're not trying to, like, they already have like 10 years with someone. But if they have budget, they would hire for video, or if it's a new thing. That another point that we have is that it's seamless for us to do photo and video, and not many people can do it seamlessly if they want to fully switch. But definitely video, and then being more conscious about the clients that we can target. We have a price point where we put a rate, and it eliminates a lot of clients. So I think the clients that can afford us are either hotels or residences, are kind of similar, or
Furniture brands
that see it more like a campaign commercial, kind of like the Doug Stream. That's why I really like it. And I think that's pretty much where we have to aim to. And then, so to find these clients, I've been going to a bunch of conferences, and usually I'm the only photographer there, so it's easier for recognition. I've gone to 4, so
networking.
Yeah.
Wait till you hear the Simon episode and you hear what he did for his marketing.
Oh yeah.
He was talking about how he rented out like a hotel, or he rented out a space, and this is early on in his career, and just the marketing he did to like brand himself. It was just interesting. You'll hear it. We'll talk about it later. We don't have to talk about it now, but yeah, like, I think just putting yourself in different environments that aren't necessary, they're like adjacent to what you're doing. Like, you're not just trying to work with architects or interior designers.
No,
like, you're putting yourself in those environments with like furniture. People and
you think, yeah. Oh, sorry.
And also just being more, knowing where exactly your clients are, because these are for furniture companies that just do furniture for hotels, so they have budget, or lighting
really?
companies. Yeah, like the entry tickets to these conferences aren't cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I had to be more specific, because I was going to random like AIA events, but a lot of them, are just starting, or they can't afford or whatnot. So it's companies that have, factories overseas that are making these, or sometimes they work on like 50 hotels a year. Like, those are the type of clients we need.
Also, what I notice pattern is that when you approach clients that are used to pay photography rates, it's hard to make them pay a video. At least us, we charge at least double.
What do you mean it's easier to make them pay? What do you mean?
No, sorry. What I was saying is that when working with architects, they're used to pay photography, and it's hard for them to pay in general. In
addition to the photography, pay for the
or
video.
in addition, or just video, it's hard to then to father sometimes, because you're gonna charge us 15,000 for video or 10,000 whatever, and it's like, I'm used to pay 5,000, 3,000 whatever for photo, right? It's like, oh my god. But I think the key for us that we want to tap more is like to find clients that are more used to pay commercial photography and videography dollars, like bigger budget.
That's a conversation I'd love to have sometime. I have been talking about this for a while. Before I was doing real estate or architecture video, I was doing promotional videos for companies, and I was comfortable charging anywhere from like $5,000 to $15,000 for a video, no problem. Like, I knew what it involved. I did a lot of corporate videos in my past. Like, I've got a lot of experience with it. But for some reason, when I try to sell an architecture video, even if it's to a commercial client, I have a hard time saying, it's going to be X amount. Like, it just seems like a hard sell for me. And I think that's a good point. They're so used to paying for photography as it is to get them to also buy video. So ironically enough, I started kind of taking that same approach. Like, I was using video as my entry point. I was getting contacted by like actual offices or marketing companies, people who aren't architects essentially. And I start with the video price, like to the video, you know, I'll just throw a number out there. Like, I did one project that was like $19,000. And I'm not saying that to brag, that's like not normal, but they only wanted 13 photos. So the majority of the cost was the video. And it wasn't the most amazing video. It was actually kind of a boring video. But my whole point in saying this is that clients that aren't architects or aren't interior designers are used to paying those kinds of budgets.
And they don't have to hire us for every project, you know. They can hire just for the a corporate video for their office, for example. They can do once every 10 years. Yeah. Right? It's just that approach, or the best. Or hospitality clients are more used to the things, but yeah, it's hard. Architects, you know, it's hard sometimes.
And I know it's still pretty early on, but like, how are you guys? I know you're going to events and everything, but are you getting a lot of meetings at this point to like you know, pitch your services, or like, I don't know, what's the process been since coming here and like officially starting to market this thing? Has it been difficult?
But we've been more focused on education. We're preparing different courses and things that we're gonna do, and
I'm leading there.
Yeah, and she has been networking and meeting people, you know, so much. We've done a few jobs, but we're thinking about things that is gonna let us be in a more comfortable place for assignments. You know?
Yeah, we're getting referrals, but most of them it's out of their budget. Yeah.
Do you think that there's a place for? Have you? I hate even saying this, but have you considered like are you basically saying this is what we offer, like kind of take it or leave it?
Yeah.
Okay.
We don't want to be the everyday, you know, photographer. Oh, this project, the other. In photo, yes, you know, but not in video. Yeah.
Do you think that is it going to be the hospitality? Because I know that at one point you were, I don't know if you exclusively wanted to focus on hospitality, but I know that hospitality was going to become, especially with all the traveling you guys were doing. Like, were you kind of aiming exclusively? Is there any kind of exclusivity as to where you're aiming, or is it?
She loves staying in hotels and eating in restaurants.
Anymore, so
that would be her ideal life, you know.
But I think branded residences are becoming more and more prominent, or even
like where they have a
like Mandarin Oriental has, you know, they're selling apartments, and then
Luxury,
Hilton, I think. Or even commercial spaces that have multi-use. Basically, anyone that needs to have like at least a 5-day shoot, and they're gonna be more willing to. Developers, anything that's like 5-day shoot. What it eliminates a lot of clients that you can have if you're thinking. Like, I was sitting there thinking, like, who couldn't afford us? I mean, even like the YouTube Stadium or theater down there that has apartments that they're building, and then also restaurants. I mean, to sell this whole huge with a stadium, different things. I mean, they need really good photos and video to sell their spaces and whatnot, rent them out. They need some good content. So those are the type of clients that we need. Yeah.
Aside from going to events and meeting like industry adjacent people, like, is there anything specific that I don't want to say that's working, but like that you're, and from a marketing and branding perspective, is there anything specific that you're finding is going to like kind of lead to some of those things? Like, is there anything in particular that's working for you?
Yeah, one thing that has worked was early on meeting with a PR agency. We got referred to meet with her, and Eleanor of Data, she's awesome. And so she has, because it's part of her, like, to do good PR, you need good assets. And that makes her job easier, and that makes her job fun to meet vendors like us. So I think any client that has decent enough budget to have a PR agency or have a branding agency, they're within the realm to afford our rates. Or if they want to rebrand, they need to shoot something. Or sometimes these PR agencies are doing rug a rug collaboration with the interior designer. So the interior designer needs to speak. So that's kind of also an avenue, is to reach into these branding PR companies for referrals, and we can also refer them as well. So, but that has earlier on, our leads have come from PR.
I was doing the same in Spain, like partnering with all marketing agencies, PR, and we were referring each other, and that is so key. Yeah.
What about like you know, Douglas Freeman did the Kohler commercial. It was freaking toilet. Like, is that, are you guys interested in going that kind of direction? More
but
that campaigns?
Yeah. I mean, that's also because he has built a brand around him, that if he was just some guy who didn't even have a website or wasn't. So, I mean, that direction is interesting, because then we would have to, as you said, do more behind the scenes, show our personality to get to the level that he is. He is a brand.
Again, Jordan, another example. Because people say about Douglas, he's so whatever, right? People can have opinions about him. You know, the audience loves him.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
Same. So I really admire this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a brand.
Yeah, he's a brand.
So I think you guys have that going for you, though. I mean, it's how you set things up. You've got the Arturo and Lauren. I think asset-wise, are you kind of focused on, again, aside from going to meetings and whatnot, like, is behind-the-scenes content kind of part of that plan? Like, how do you get people to?
Finca.
Yeah. One of the big things that we're gonna start this year, that we're working on it, is we're gonna start editorial platform. Meaning we're gonna start with the YouTube channel, and it's gonna have more legs in the future.
You've already started filming for a little bit of that.
Yeah. We have like 6 or 7 episodes filmed.
I didn't realize you did that much already.
Yeah. We did 5 in Mexico City or something.
No, 4 in Mexico, 1 in Spain, and 1 in LA. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about what that's going to be, because you guys, I know a little bit, but
I don't know. I have a weird obsession of always bringing everything to ourselves. So there's a huge thing in this architecture photography world, that some clients reach out to you because they want to be published in the magazine that you have contacts with, right? And it's not always a guarantee, you know. I'm not so published, but I've heard other photographers, for example, Jose Manuel, or a photographer that I'm close to, that they reach out to them because they say, "Oh, you're the AD photographer. I want to work with you," but that's not a guarantee, you know. If you're honest with your client, the print space in this day and age, you know, is so limited, and just certain project can be published these days. It's not like 20 years ago that there were so many magazines, so many issues a year, and it was different story. So I think for still, you know, being published is like a symbol still, you know. And so that's one of the things that made us think, like, why not doing our own thing, you know? And what is the best way to publish on a way that people are going to see more these days? YouTube, you know, video form.
Yeah.
And we're going to do like a YouTube channel of designers, architects, and people like talking about their process, their project, and also showing the project itself. Because I think when a designer or an architect talk about their project, it brings another dimension, and it's also a way to, because that's, you know, I'm so weird. I always try to get myself out of business, you know, rather than people getting out of business. We're so comfortable with the shoots and everything. We will be comfortable forever, but we want to do things, risk a bit more, putting the effort on things that, you know, I think is going to be more the future. Because you see a render these days, and even myself, that I'm a photographer, I'm sure it happened the same to you. You see a render, you cannot tell if it's a render or a photo sometimes, right? If it's super high end. So I think bringing architects to showing more the human side of a project, you know, and the voice of a creator, I think is a thing that is going to be more important in the future, where renders or render videos or whatever get better and better, you know. It's a thing that is going to, you know, be more valuable.
When do you anticipate launching this?
End of the year or so.
Okay.
Yeah.
How many
November or
episodes?
so.
How many episodes are you planning on having ready before you?
No, we're gonna have 6, and we're gonna film more when we launch it. Yeah,
Okay.
we're gonna release a new episode every 2 weeks.
You already have 6 filmed though, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So okay, so you just have to edit those and okay.
Yeah, and actually, it just came to mind, but I do actually have a YouTube experience because even when I had some free times, I was actually interviewing like electronic musicians.
I know when I was like
Yeah.
digging and like learning about you, I saw
Yeah, and
this.
I got to like 50,000 subscribers
Yeah.
or something within like
You were so
a year
known
or
in the
2.
industry, yeah.
And so it's definitely possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How just a side tangent? How did that come about? Because that was like, ironically, that was like EDM music, was it?
Because I realized, especially for a lot of this whole thing, but there wasn't much YouTube presence for these people, but they had huge fan bases, and a lot of electronic music producers are kind of awkward. And so I did a walking and talking format where I literally just walked for half an hour or an hour talking, and you have no idea how much these people would open up, like talk about all their struggles. And it was the first thing that they were surprised how personal it got, and it just really grew a lot, and the views came. Yeah.
Yeah, that's I actually used to have a podcast where I'd interview Instagram influencers.
Oh.
And I did like
Oh.
125 episodes.
Really?
And yeah, it was I think one of the things that I did really well with, and I'd like to do that with this one too, but again, this is new and I don't really have a plan yet, but I would get people to open up about like vulnerable things. And it even got me to the point where I interviewed Obama's chief White House photographer, and I got to go to the White House
Oh, really?
Wow.
and do a tour. Yeah.
Wow.
So I think there's something to that though, is my point, like having like those conversations and getting people to open up. And that's, I think with this thing too, it's like, I wanted it to be, again, this is like not well planned. It just kind of started, but like, I don't know, to kind of bring it full circle to the community aspect of things. Like I wanted to be able to have a platform where I could actually talk to people in person. Cause we have PMRE and that's pretty much it. And it's like, it's the only time I see people, but every time I do traveling, I try to get together with people and have these conversations. So I figured I'd start recording.
But what I like about you is that you get your feet wet, and then you realize, well, you shape it after, I like you're doing new things,
I'm a ready, fire, aim kind of person.
So
I think you
You're
are
very
too.
similar.
some people just think about, oh, we're gonna do this, and then they never do anything.
Yeah, well, and that's, I think that to your point, like, did that YouTube, did it just kind of start, or was that very well thought out, or did you just kind of start it and then it just turned into what it did?
Yeah, I kind of just started in it. I think the first video got 100,000 views. It was pretty insane.
First video?
Wow.
Yeah, I was.
I
Yeah,
didn't know that.
Wow. Yeah, I think that's like when if you we're so worried about being perfect. And
Exactly.
Like, we're worried about what other people think too much. And like, for me, it's like, I don't want to lose this idea that I have because I'm passionate about it right this second. So like literally my process is, I have an idea about something. I buy a domain name, and then I think about, okay, logistically, what do I have to do to make that happen? So like literally I could show you the text thread. I bought it, like I knew the shoots, because I'm going to be assisting Simon this week. I knew that at least 2 of the shoots are going to be canceled. I'm like, crap, well, now I've already booked my tickets. I've already booked the Airbnb. I know Adam's coming here. I'm going to be sharing an Airbnb with Adam. I know I'm going to be meeting up with several people, including you guys. Well, now's a good time to like maybe just start interviewing some people.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I literally bought a domain. I found this place, and literally this all happened within like the course of like 45 minutes. Found this place, asked Simon if he'd be free to come. He said, yeah. I rented it, and then. Yeah, I'm just saying, you have to move fast like that sometimes.
Exactly.
Like, I would rather lose a couple $100 than lose the idea and not do something with it. I don't even know how many episodes of this I'm going to do. I may only do like 5 or 6 of whatever I do while I'm out here. I don't know. That's not the point. Like, I can edit these all up and release them later. And same thing with like, you guys have filmed six episodes. That's a lot of money. It costs a lot of time and effort and resources to do that. You may change courses on what you're going to do with that down the road. But the point is, you do it, you invest the time, energy, and resources it takes to do something, and then, you figure it out later.
that's what I really admire about you and your ideas. My mom's a fan of you.
No.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, you never told him that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, no kidding.
Because I'm close to my mom, and I'm like, oh, we were talking to Jordan Powers, and we were exchanging ideas, and she's like, really loves your ideas, and she, out of everyone, she remembers you the most. I mean, she
Even your dad.
You should
my
have.
dad.
You should have invited me to your dad's birthday when you guys were in action. I would
yeah,
have went and hung out with the family.
yeah.
Yeah. That's funny. That's a first for me, I think. Huh.
Yeah.
Well, how would they have? Did they just watch like when we interacted on some?
Oh,
of those
just their
interviews?
ideas, because my parents, I mean, they're kind of in business, but they like ideas, and I told them about your ideas of how you find clients and whatnot. My mom really likes that.
Maybe the
Interesting.
interview with
I don't. My mom doesn't
Maybe.
listen to anything.
Maybe you should listen to this.
no, it was that. Yeah. She
Oh.
she watched it.
Shifter?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe in the DR trip.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
why.
maybe, yeah.
That's
Huh.
it was that.
That's cool. Awesome. Sweet. It makes me, actually that's more valuable to me than knowing that anybody else in the community listens. No, I'm serious. No, I mean think
Yeah.
about it. It's like I don't know. Like I just like talking to people in the community, but like to know that their parents like me, that's kind of cool. Yeah. Huh. So another thing, okay, we haven't talked about, and I've been kind of pressuring you guys, even offered to film it because I want you guys to come out with a course soon. And this isn't I didn't bring you guys on here to promote your course. That's not the point of it. But you do have a course coming out at some point.
November.
Yeah. Okay. Now I just want to be clear for the record. I just really want to see a course from you guys. Like
What?
I think everybody's anxious to see something. You guys are incredibly creative. We saw your promotional thing you did at PMRE. Like I think it's just like waiting till November is like a long time. Like I know you guys. I know you need to be perfect.
Mm-hmm.
I get it, but like I'm very anxious to see whatever you
Yeah.
guys have. So if I'm not helping with it, can you at least send me a preview
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
before you put it out there, just so I can see it before everybody
Yeah, we wanna do a course about architectural film, residential filmmaking. Yeah, for real estate videographers, but also interior and architecture videographers,
else.
and people that don't know anything, they can learn with it, or people that are already are doing it. It's a tool that they're gonna know all the technicalities, all the details, all the weird scenarios that they can run into, and of course, um, after that, their responsibility is theirs. You know, they can get the course and they can do whatever they want with it, but they're gonna know they're gonna know all their secrets during the last 15 years creating 10 years creating videos. And the idea came because every week, I don't know why, every week people are, uh, are you ever gonna teach the thing about
I know,
video?
that's what I'm telling you. Everybody's
Yeah.
anxious to see one. It's not. We're not blowing smoke. Like everybody admires what both of you guys do.
Thank you.
And individually and together as well. So it's like it's something that's long overdue. Like I made the one for Nick in 2019, and there's been nothing since then on like real estate or architectural video that's come out. And so much has changed in those 3 years, especially with what you guys are doing. It's like it's kind of, I think people are just eager to see something and learn something new.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's why I'm putting so much pressure on you guys. Like, okay, so how are you going to manage doing that and this thing and the other things you guys are working on? You've got the YouTube thing coming out, and then the other things that we'll talk about in a second that you're working. How are you managing all of this on top of managing the real estate photography business, on top of building the Arturo and Lauren brand? Like how?
We also have a team. I mean, the real estate is 4 people, and this we have operations. Jillian, who does our operations and marketing, and Steven, who does social media, and Yvonne, who does graphic design. And so we're able to work together with them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are they based here? Because I think you said
No.
the one person was like
One
in
of them.
Germany or something. Right?
One of them is based here. No, Germany.
that's-
another.
Yeah.
That's the other thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we're pretty much all remote.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think even just taking on the fact that so making a team to help you do these things, or building a team. Can you just briefly talk about that process? Like, are you finding virtual assistants? Like, what's the process on that?
Yeah. So the first person that we had was Yvonne to do graphic design. That's not usually the first person, but that really helped us like think about how things should look, and we have a cohesive colors or fonts, and she helped us with that.
Internal stuff as well.
Internally, yeah.
For clients like
Yeah.
Peaches.
And then for tools for you guys, we found her on ilovecreatives.com, and I think we did a job posting there. And I've found really talented people on there for more creative work. And then for more operational work, I've seen LinkedIn being really good for that.
I never heard of ilovecreatives.com.
Yeah, it's very graphic designy, artsy people. Yeah.
And Julian,
Yeah.
She does
LinkedIn. Yeah.
So, but all the video editing and whatnot for these episodes is going to be you guys.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Pretty much anything related to, since we have Jillian, she's doing calls with clients. We don't, to screen them first, or to once they're
Really.
Yeah.
Wow, that's ballsy.
Yeah.
Because you mean for the Arturo and Lauren clients?
Yeah.
Wow. So you're putting them through a filter before you even talk to them.
Yeah, and she does. Yeah, and with the emailing, I kind of just send her voice memos like, "This is what we should say," and she helps us write everything. So I don't really send any emails anymore. It's very slow for us. Like he doesn't send any emails, and then I'm very bad at writing. So
but I think I say ballsy because one, you're risking losing a client by not meeting with them first, but you're also creating a perception that like this is a bigger thing.
Exactly.
Then, they can't just call you and talk to you and like get a rate sheet. Like there's a process.
But not only that, if we wouldn't have Jillian, I wouldn't have time to prepare the course, edit the Finca journal, the YouTube channel that we have.
Is that Finca?
Finca journal.
FINCA.
Yeah.
CA. What is Finca?
It's like a state, but in Spanish. Yeah.
That state is like a small house, right?
Yeah, a small countryside house.
Estate.
Estate. Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
Countryside house.
That's a Spanish term?
Yeah.
She came up with that.
Nice.
Yeah.
SEO.
No, but I never had a team or anything. I just had an assistant in Spain for the actual shoots. It wasn't even part of my company. But Lauren is so good on building teams and stuff. Also on her real estate photography company, she has a few employees.
And you did that quick. Within less than a year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's been wonders. Yeah.
It's to let go of that responsibility seems like it'd be hard to do. Like, did you find I don't know, there's like a scarcity mindset that some people have. Like if I'm only charging $500 for a shoot and I'm paying somebody else $200 to do some of the admin stuff, like I think that again, you also, when you were building this thing, you had another full-time job that was helping support that. So it probably makes it a little bit easier. I think my whole point is I think people have a hard time outsourcing because they look at it as money they could be keeping.
So that's the thing. If your day rate is 3,000, that means how much is it per hour?
For 3,000?
Yeah.
You guys saw me trying to do math earlier, trying to figure out.
But what you want to say?
What's your hourly rate if your day rate is 3,000?
No, but what you want to say is that you have to allocate a part of the money.
I mean, look, if you're doing it $3,000 a day on a 24-hour day,
or not even 3,000, and your shoot is only like 8 hours. 8
hours, the 375.
Okay, so anything that's under $300, you have to outsource it. That's my mentality. Like any email, listen, you have someone, you pay them $20 or however. It's not worth your time if it's less than 300.
I think a lot of people have a scarcity mindset where they can't outsource because they see that couple $100 going to somebody else where they could be pocketing that.
Yeah, I think you're nailing it. That you pay someone like $25 an hour, you could be doing something that's worth $300 an hour.
Right.
So why wouldn't you rather spend your time doing $300 an hour that you can grow more and
you focus on your strengths.
Just outsourcing your emails or something or chasing for invoices. That's your time is more spent doing more of the $300 per hour thing.
Mm-hmm.
There are people that enjoy being operation.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't like to chase clients for most photographers don't, and you have enough that you can really outsource, even just do it little, like 1 hour per day, 6 hours per week, and you find someone to just handle something, or send rate sheets if that's something that you get asked for a lot, and then your time could be worth. That's why we separate. Like, that's why we said he has to be the best photographer and videographer he could be, and then I'm gonna be the best marketing I can be if he helps with all the sales calls and whatnot. It's taking away from him to be better than what he can be, because his time is going now to chase clients.
There's going to be a million questions that I wish I would have asked you guys after I go back and listen to this. So I'll follow up later with any follow-up questions I have, because like there's so many different routes these conversations could take. One last thing I wanted to make sure you guys talk about is you have something coming out in May that you gave me a little sneak preview on, but do you want to talk about the website stuff?
Yeah, so outside of the courses, I want to get more into the digital product world, and I think with our team and our background in branding, the first thing that we thought about doing was website templates. I mean, I first noticed on Facebook groups that people were thinking like, how can I get a website done, or people like our website, and I'm like, it's not cheap. And a lot of people like, yeah, I can't afford that. So that's why we came up with Joyce, who did our website, who's also my childhood best friend, and to do these website templates, one for interior photographers and one for real estate. And yeah, we've been working on it for quite a few months. It's
almost
been
a year.
Yeah,
Right?
it's been almost a year.
And you're releasing one for architecture and design and one for real estate photographers.
They're very similar. It's just that I realized we needed two because of the navigation. One would be more on galleries and showcase work, and the other one would be more on pricing and booking. So that's why I have two.
So I guess you saw the need that some photography needed something more specific, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, well, when you look at photography templates out there, they're all very basic.
Wedding, a lot of wedding.
Yeah. In fact, that's another need in the area that I'm hoping at some point I can like have a hand in helping with, is creating some kind of fulfillment software for our industry specifically. That's kind of like what Arturo does for real estate photography.
That's a great idea.
Like having that combined with like a Pixie set or like a shoot proof, like, I don't know, just something that's and also like blending in services like Blink Bid and just all the services that we need in our industry, but in one place.
That's a great idea.
I don't know how to do any of that stuff or anybody, so if you guys know anybody, let me know. But I would love to have a hand in helping develop something like that, because I think that's a huge need. But to your point, I think that you're fulfilling a need in our industry that isn't there. Like there's no templates out there specifically for architecture or design or real estate photography templates. They're all general, like wedding and portrait usually.
And then the other thing is, I just want real estate photographers and interior photographers to care more about branding and how they look, and otherwise you always just price cut each other. Like, oh, this person, so many people like, oh, someone just came into my town, they're charging X amount. If you really had such a good website and people perceive your product differently or higher tier, it's going to eliminate a lot of that. And I want to shift a lot of the conversations to creating value than like being kind of pessimistic, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Was there anything else you guys want to mention before we...
Thank you so much.
Yeah. No, thank you for coming on and for helping out as well today.
I mean, I love what you're doing.
Yeah. You're so inspirational.
Well, thanks. I look forward to getting some vegan sushi with you guys tonight.
Oh, I don't know how it's gonna be.
Never had that.
Yeah. Adam Taylor suggested we go get. He by the way, he's probably gonna watch this. He said I can't remember what the conversation was, but I was like vegan sushi, and he was like. Art gave a thumbs up, so we're.
I said no, but I initially no. I initially said, "Oh, that's something." Oh, why vegan? I never have vegan sushi, and I show her. I said, "Vegan sushi, like cucumber and stuff." I thought, "Oh, that." When I share with her, I said, "Oh, maybe it should be." I would like the real sushi, right? Not the vegan sushi.
He always wants to try new things.
Yeah, but
I'm okay with trying new things. When we were in Vegas, I tried a bunch of new things.
Yeah, I know.
Nice.
And everything was good too. So.
Yeah, it was really good.
Cool. Well, guys, thanks so much for taking some time.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.